This is part 3 of the tutorial how to machine knit the easy toddler pullover. The focus is on putting the whole sweater together and finishing. And how you finish is what makes the difference between wow and ho-hum. So, in this video, I focus on 3 core methods: sewing the shoulder seams, installing the sleeves right on the machine, and the must-know mattress stitch. Plus, I share some of my foolproof methods that make each step so easy to accomplish that you will actually finish. Now that's exciting. When the purl side is the public side at the shoulder, I prefer to work the seam from the right side. This way assures that the bound-off stitches are aligned perfectly when the two sides meet. First, choose the longest yarn tail and tighten and neaten the stitch at its base. Doing so keeps that stitch from pulling or gaping later. Then begin the seam. I'm going to come back into this first loop. I'm coming in from the garment and I'm only picking up the outside loop that faces the right side, the loop that's closest to the outside, right there. So I'm going through that toward the seam, and then I'm coming back over here, and I'm doing the same thing over here. And go right into this very first loop, but this time from the seam out. Then I'm advancing to the next stitch, coming back to the same stitch on this side, and crossing over. Advancing on the next stitch, returning to the one that I left on this side, and crossing over back. So we're going to just do this all the way down. Now we're going to go to that edge stitch there and come up in this edge stitch here and just bring it back over. And it just sort of straightens this edge out because we have to still insert our sleeve across the yoke. But that's what it looks like on the outside. This is what it looks like on the inside. So it's nice and flat, and for cotton that's good. You don't want it to be bunching up. Pick up an aqua yarn tail at the neckline, and with the right side facing, go under the purl bump with the needle. Cross to the other side and go under the purl bump on this side. Go back and forth until you reach the neck edge. Carefully neaten the neck edge by stitching under the 2 edge loops on each side. Use another yarn tail to close the hole where the shoulder and the neckline meet. Repeat this whole process to complete the neckline at the other shoulder. Since there are 60 stitches on the upper edge of the sleeve, I'm bringing 60 needles into hold position. Hang your 2 eyelet tool on the center 2 needles to mark them. You will no longer be able to see the numbers once you place the needle stopper into place. While you can work without a needle stopper, it stabilizes the needles so the next process is easy to do. Make sure all the latches are open. With the right side of the yoke facing you, and that is the purl side in this case, I'm going to take my 2-prong tool, but I know these are my 2 center stitches. And I'm going to pick up 1 whole stitch on either side of the shoulder seam. That centers the yoke on the needles. I told you I left my yarn tails on the arm side, so I want to make sure those are downward toward the machine. So the first 2 are hung on the center 2 stitches. Then I'm going to stretch this side down and pick up 1 whole stitch from the edge and pop it on those needles. And I'm going to do the same on this side. 1 whole stitch from the edge and pop it on the needles. So we're going to be working from the center to this half. And so what you want to do is, insert your eyelet tool, and I'm using a 2 eyelet tool, and find about the center, and then find out where it fits right there. Hang that end. Then I go half to half again and find the center of this half and pop it on. Then half and half, half of the half. Make sure I'm always in the same column of stitches. then half of the half. That part is done now. Now half of this half of this half. Now that's 3 stitches, so I want to make sure I get the first 2 and fill with the third. Then this half, this one has 5 stitches in it, so I'm going to find the center of that first and hang it. Then I'm going to go to this half, hang it, and then I'm going to go and pick up that last one and hang it. Now I have just finished this half of this half. So then I'm going to do and repeat the same thing over here. Okay, so this side is pretty well done. But what I'm doing now is I'm picking up the stitches in between if I need to. If there's any gap, I'm going to pick up those stitches and hang it. But like this one I think would fit better here. So I'm going to hang that there. And this one would fit better here. Spreads it out a little bit more. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so that half is done. Now we're going to take our attention to this half. But if you want to get that professional finish, you do want to be careful on how you do it. There we go. Now I'm pulling it down to make sure I have all my stitches accounted for. And I do. Okay, so that is laid in place. Now I can just easily push this back. So now I'm going to take the right side of the sleeve and face it toward the machine. Fold down your waist knitting and starting on one end or the other, whichever one you prefer, find that end stitch and the next stitch. And I'm going to just hang that on the end stitches here. And I'm going to work from one side to the other because I don't want to miss any stitches here. All we're doing is just picking up every stitch and hanging it in the hooks of the needles. We don't want to push it back at this. And make sure you don't skip any because otherwise you'll have a gap. Now, for this particular one, I can flip over and I can easily do 3 at a time with my 3 eyelet. If you had used your garter bar to remove the stitches, all you have to do is slide this back on and it's a lot faster. That would save you even more time. My stitches are in my hooks and the yoke is behind the latches. Remove this needle stopper plate. I'm going to slowly bring my needles back just a little bit, just enough to close the latches across the bed. Okay, so all my latches are closed around the stitches, and now I'm just going to simply pull them through. And I can do 1 or 2 at a time because my latches are closed, so all I'm going to do is pull them as far as I can back. Because I had made that last row of the sleeve 3 tensions higher. I can pull these out. I'm just latching these off. So I'm just putting my hook into the next stitch. I'm getting beyond my little latch and just popping it off the end and then pulling this through. But my hand over here, my left hand, is pulling down on the knitting except when I'm lifting it off. But because the loops are behind the latch, it easily comes off. And you could pull off all of these loops real easily, so you got to be careful to use your left hand to keep it and control which stitches are moving. Now, I'm at the end, and all I'm going to do is pick up the end yarn that I had and latch it through. So let's look at what we have. And I'm just removing the waste yarn right now. Oop, there we go. And look at how nice that seam is. And it's all done on the machine. I wanted to show you how I approach the underarm seam. I'm going to take the yarn tail that is nearest the bottom hem, and it should be turquoise obviously, and you want to bring it out right where the hem dent is, the little dent that sets aside the hem. Now we're going to try and work about 1 to 1/2 to 1 stitch in, and I think we're at 1 stitch. So I'm bringing it forward to start. I'm right at the little dent. So I'm going to go over to this side and find that same stitch over here and just go under 1 bar between the stitches. Now I can cross over to the first side, inserting the needle in the same stitch and under 2 bars. Then cross over and insert the needle in the same stitch on the other side and under 2 bars. And cross over and keep going 2 bars. And at a certain point, after you get about 1/2 inch worked, you're going to pull it up. See how I have that indent? Visually, the indent will be caught by the eye, and if it's off center, it'll be real obvious if it's not even. Now, we're going to continue down this and go under 2 bars here, 2 bars here. See how loose it is? So when I cross over, I'm going into the exact same stitch that I came out of on this side and go down 2 bars. You can do 1 or 2 bars if you get out of whack, but here I'm going down 2 bars. Now, over here, I'm just going to match this up. I only have 1 more bar to go. Go right back into the same space and just go down 1 bar. Now, can you see how the picots are all lined up perfectly? You don't want to go any further than that. So at this point, we're going to just go back over here and go into the same space where we came out of, right there, and bring it to the inside. When we flip it over to the inside, on the automatic hem, you'll see how it bows in. The deeper the hem is, the more bowing you're going to get. And all we're going to do is do every other stitch and just whip stitch these edges together. It's just neatening up that hem on the inside. Bring it back out to the front in the same place where I came out before. Right there. See that? Now I'm on the front side, so I can turn it and I can continue going this way with the mattress stitch. Before you get too far up from the hem, it's a good idea to work down just a little from the underarm also. This approach sets the end points of the seam, and all I'm doing is cutting little 4-inch pieces of yarn. You line up these edges and find the halfway point. Okay? It's about there. And you're going to stick your latch tool through it, catch that little yarn tail, and latch it on. That is a Tailor tack. Then, just like when we did the sleeve where we even it out, we find the halfway point of the halfway. And put another one there. You want to do this until you have a Tailor tack every inch, inch and a half. Now, I know that I have to ease this side into this side between where I am and where my Tailor tack is. And then once I get there, I can remove the Tailor tack. Then I need to do the next inch and a half, or inch and a quarter, or whatever that is. It's about an inch and a half until this Tailor tack, and go on and on. If it was a full size on a regular adult sweater, this could be 18 inches, 20 inches, 15 inches, depending on the style and how long you have it, like on a tunic. This is the only way you'll never have to tear out more than an inch, and you can see real easily whether you're going to make it or not. Well, this side has 3 on it and this side has 4 on it. So if I have to go and ease this side into this side, because you always ease into the smaller side, you go under 2 bars here, and when you go over here, just go under 1 bar. You just eased in 1 stitch. Now I'm going to pull it up, and there we have our beautiful seam ready to go, and you can see that we're going to come out perfectly even when we get to that tailor tack. So we're just going to continue like this, going down the side. We're going to do the sleeves the exact same way, except when you do a sleeve, because there's stripes in the sleeve, you know you have to match every 4 rows. So you'll never have to take out more than 4 rows because it either matches or it doesn't match. If this was a solid color, then use your Tailor Tacks. And that's all you have to do. So, with that, I'll meet you when I'm done. The Easy Toddler Pullover is a wonderful practice project for strengthening your finishing skills. And finishing is so achievable and rewarding. Plus, I guarantee it gets easier and easier. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please take a moment to subscribe and ring the bell to receive notifications of upcoming videos and events. Happy machine knitting!